Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Court of Appeal upholds Najib's conviction in SRC trial. We take a closer look at the legal and political implications as Najib set to take the case to Apex Court. That's coming up. The Court of Appeal upheld the conviction against Datuk Sri Najib Tun Abdul Razak in the 42 million ringgit SRC international corruption case. The court granted the former Prime Minister a stay of execution of the sentence. Now, this means that Najib will not have to serve the jail sentence or pay the fine until his final appeal is disposed of in the federal court. Najib was appealing a 12-year prison sentence and a 210 million ringgit fine imposed by the Kuala Lumpur High Court last year. A three-man bench led by Justice Datuk Abdul Karim Abdul Jalil delivered its judgment in a unanimous decision today. In a 54-page of summary judgment, Justice Abdul Karim said that Najib's activities linked to SRC International were not done in national interest, as he claimed, but were a national embarrassment. He said Najib was actively involved in ensuring that the 4 billion ringgit of retirement fund co-op loans were disbursed to SRC International. But after the funds had been disbursed, Najib became indifferent to the whereabouts of the funds. He added that the former Prime Minister did not even ask SRC International as to what had happened to the funds, nor how it was utilized and for what purpose. Justice Abdul Karim delivered the verdict with Justices Dato' Hazanah Mehat and Dato' Wazir Alam Maidin Mira. At a virtual briefing after the verdict, Najib said he was disappointed with the decision and that he would appeal at the Federal Court, Malaysia's top tribunal. With the Court of Appeal decision now out of the way, what are the legal options available for Datuk Sri Najib Razak? Advocate and solicitor Datuk Salihuddin Saidin weighs in on what to expect before the final verdict at federal court level.
The court had ruled that the High Court judge has not made an error in appreciating the facts and evidence placed before the court. And also the Court of Appeal was satisfied that the prosecution has proved all the charges under the criminal breach of trust, money laundering and misuse of powers beyond a reasonable doubt. What left now with Datuk Sri Najib is to file a notice of appeal within 14 days for it to be heard before the federal court. And I was told that Datuk Sri Najib's team had just filed a notice of appeal to the federal court. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. And this is in fact the last and final appeal open to Datuk Sri Najib. Perhaps Datuk Sri Najib's team might want to make another attempt to try to bring in fresh evidence before the federal court, in which they had failed to do so in the Court of Appeal, as what decided by the Court of Appeal this morning. Or rather, yesterday.
Salihuddin said that the former Prime Minister will remain as Pekan MP despite the Court of Appeal's decision.
He will remain and continue to be members of Parliament and will not lose his seat until all his appeal been used up. This is clearly stipulated under Article 48 of the Federal Constitution, in particular Clause 1, 2 and 4 of the Federal Constitution, if I'm not mistaken. But on the other hand, he can't be nominated or elected or even appointed to be members of either House of Parliament in case the Parliament is to be dissolved and fresh election is to be held. This has been clearly provided so under Clause 5 of the Article 48 of the Federal Constitution.
What are the political implications of this verdict? Will it deal a blow to Najib's hope of a political comeback? We ask analyst Mujibu Abdul Muiz.
We are on the verge of whether we are going to see the snap general election will be held sooner than later because there will be fear that domino effects on UMNO's leaders on similar cases like Najib will be open soon. Yeah, so maybe with UMNO now at the helm of the government, and of course, if UMNO have the momentum, what have happened in Melaka elections, so they will be on the good term to win the general election, and winning the general election maybe will help the UMNO leaders in their cases, as now it is not in the good position for this to help UMNO leaders in their court cases, simply because the condition that UMNO is not controlling the government, as well as there is a possibility of the other component parties like Bersatu will pull out from the coalitions and will bring the governments down. So this will be will some expectation that what had happened if this case stays, and of course if Najib fail in the last resort, which is the federal court, there will be the consequences.
With the latest development, what will be the future of UMNO in the Pekan parliamentary seat?
I don't think this will be affecting UMNO that much in Pekan, since Pekan will synonym with the stronghold of UMNO, but the legacy of Najib will be tarnished for me. And of course, the most important thing is whether we will see the political career of Najib. Is it going to be end, since we know that Najib is fighting for his political survival since 2018.
Stay tuned at 10 p.m. as tonight on Consider This, we dive deeper into the legal and political significance of the SRC International Trial verdict. Malaysia can expect to receive up to 10,000 Indonesian workers by early next year. Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan said the workers will cover the areas of manufacturing, construction and domestic needs.
He said the decision will be finalized upon signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on Recruitment and Placement of Indonesian Domestic Workers with the Republic as early as January next year. Saravanan said that the government will soon be in discussion with the Bangladesh government on a similar arrangement. Yesterday, he announced that Malaysia and Indonesia have agreed to implement the concept of one mate, one task, stating that an Indonesian domestic worker can work in a household of no more than 6 family members.
Malaysia is expected to add another 5.8 million voters with the full implementation of Undi 18. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said this would translate to an increase of around 40% in the number of registered voters. Malaysia's voter count now stands at 15.8 million. The lowering of the minimum voting age from 21 to 18 years old would increase the number of voters to 21.1 million. Wan Junaidi added that all parliament and state constituencies in Malaysia would see a rise in the number of eligible voters when Undi 18 and the automatic voter registration is carried out. He noted that more than 190 of the 222 parliamentary areas would each see an increase of between 10 and 50,000 in the number of new voters. We will go for a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Australia has said it will join the US in a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in China. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said the decision was in response to human rights abuses in the Xinjiang province and many other issues that Australia has consistently raised. The Australian Olympic Committee said the arrangements for the 40 or so Australian athletes expected to compete at the Games would not be impacted by Morrison's announcement. On Monday, the US said it would not send diplomats to the Games in Beijing over concerns about China's human rights record. China has condemned the US announcement and threatened to retaliate without giving further details. Australia's relations with China had deteriorated in recent years. Morrison accused China of rejecting opportunities to improve relations, insisting Australia remained open to bilateral talks. Olaf Scholz has been confirmed as Germany's new chancellor, taking over from Angela Merkel after 16 years in office. Scholz will be the new leader of Europe's largest economy and lead an unprecedented three-party government on the federal level. The 63-year-old Scholz was voted in by the German parliament, where his coalition has a substantial majority. His centre-left Social Democrats will govern alongside the Greens and the business-friendly Free Democrats. The handover of power marks an end to Merkel's 31-year political career. The soft-spoken Scholz steered the Social Democrats to election victory in late September, positioning himself as a natural successor to Merkel, as he served as finance minister and vice-chancellor in Merkel's government. India's top military official was killed when an Indian Air Force helicopter carrying 14 people crashed in southern India with only one survivor. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat died along with his wife. The helicopter, which had a crew of 4, crashed near Coonoor in Tamil Nadu. The cause of the crash and details of the other passengers are not yet known. Rawat is the most senior official in the Indian military, as well as advisor to the Defence Ministry. He assumed the newly created post last year after retiring as Army Chief. Japanese entrepreneur Yusaku Maezawa has blasted off on a trip to the International Space Station, joining the growing list of billionaires who have made it to space. He is expected to spend 12 days at the ISS and is the first space tourist to visit the station in recent years. A Russian rocket carrying Maezawa took off from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. It is a precursor to Maezawa's much-publicized trip to the moon in 2023, where he is to choose 8 members of the public to join him on the trip on a SpaceX rocket. Maezawa's voyage, which reportedly cost him $88 million, follows fellow billionaires Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson's short trip to space earlier this year in rockets built by their private companies. That is all we have for you on AWANI Tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching.